Most people think choosing between a cruise in Alaska versus the Caribbean comes down to weather. It's just, do you want cold or warm? But that's the wrong way to think about it because these are two completely different vacations that just happen to both be on a cruise ship. And once you understand the real differences, well, the right choice for you becomes obvious. If you're planning a cruise and trying to decide between Alaska and the Caribbean, I've had that debate myself, and it's one of those decisions where it's pretty easy to talk yourself into either one because, well, they're both amazing in their own way. But the problem is that decision usually gets made based on what you think the experience is going to be like. But once you're actually on board, what you do during the day, how the ship feels, what you experience in port, and even how the week unfolds are completely different. So instead of just comparing destinations, I'm going to break this down in a way that actually helps you understand what each of these cruises is actually designed to deliver, and which one lines up better with the kind of trip you're trying to take. Oh, and if we haven't met yet, I'm Evan from Family at Sea. If this is your first time watching my channel, I'm glad you're here. And if you've been here a while, you already know how much I appreciate you. If you're ready, I am. Let's go. All right, look. Let's start with timing because when you're looking to take a cruise plays a major role in the region that's right for you. Alaska cruises only run from May through September, so if you're planning a trip in the spring or winter, Alaska isn't even on the table. Caribbean cruises run year-round, but when you go there makes a big difference as well because in the winter you'll get warm, comfortable weather that's usually perfect for beach days. But in the summer it gets uncomfortably hot and humid, and you also have to factor in hurricane season, which runs from June to November but really peaks in August through October. And Alaska is the opposite. The peak season there is June through August, and that's when you're going to get longer days, better weather, and the best overall experience. Temperatures are usually in the 50s and 60s, and while rain is always a possibility, it's generally very comfortable. So it's not just a question of cold versus warm, it's about when you're traveling. If you're planning a winter or early spring trip, the Caribbean is the clear and, well, really only choice. If you're traveling in the middle of summer and want to avoid the extreme heat, Alaska is usually the better experience. And in many cases, your travel dates will make this decision for you before anything else does. Another big factor here is price, and this is where the gap between these two really starts to show. Alaska cruises are expensive, like Disney expensive. At the low end, you might find an off-season interior cabin for around $200 per night for two people, but if you're looking for a balcony during peak season, which is what most people want for Alaska, that can easily jump to $400 to $600 per night or more. The Caribbean, on the other hand, is much more affordable, and you can find interior cabins starting around $130 per night for two people, and in many cases, you can upgrade to a balcony there for somewhere in the $200 to $300 per night range, depending on the ship and timing. But the cruise fare is really only part of the story. Flights to Alaska are far more expensive, especially if you're flying into Vancouver or Anchorage, and the hotels for before and after your cruise are a lot more expensive as well. And then you still have to account for excursions and all the other expenses you'll encounter in the ports, which are all far more expensive as well. Now, sure, you can skip out on a lot of those costly excursions in Alaska, but if you want to experience Alaska at its best, many of them are things you have to factor into your budget. Now look, let me take a quick step back there because you can do an Alaska cruise on a budget, but it's not easy. But I actually put together a full breakdown on and I've actually put together a video that shows a full breakdown on exactly how I did that in a different video, and I'll share that at the end of this one. But even a budget Alaska cruise is usually going to cost quite a bit more than a comparable Caribbean cruise. And look, none of that is to say Alaska isn't worth it, because it absolutely is. But price is still something you have to factor in when making your choice. Whether you choose Alaska or the Caribbean, the real question isn't whether it's cheap, it's what kind of experience you're actually getting for the money. Because low fare might get you on board, but it's the day-to-day experience that really determines whether you have a good time and want to come back. And that's exactly why we book through Cruises It. Instead of guessing, you're working with people who actually understand the ships, the pricing patterns, and how different cabins can completely change your experience. They've saved us thousands over the years, helped us land better cabins, and kept us from making choices we would have regretted later. Which is more than I can say for Frank, who once told me, "Evan, I don't need a travel agent. I'll just just book whatever's cheapest. Frank, you also picked a seat right next to the bathroom on your red-eye flight to Anchorage to save $20, and you woke up every hour wondering what the smell was. With their low price guarantee and people who actually care, Cruises it makes booking simpler, cheaper, and a whole lot less stressful. So click the link in the description below or call the number on the screen and tell them Evan from Family at Sea sent you. You'll be glad you did. Even if you're on the same exact ship, the onboard experience can feel completely different depending on whether you're in Alaska or the Caribbean. In the Caribbean, the ship is the main attraction. The weather is warm, the pool deck is always active, and a lot of the energy is centered around music, drinks, and spending time outside. Sea days feel like resort days, and even when you're in port, many people stay on board to enjoy the ship. In Alaska, though, that flips. The destination becomes the focus, and the ship feels more like a base camp than the main event. You'll see more people inside, especially in the observation lounges for those that have them, or watching the scenery instead of sitting by the pool. The outdoor decks are still used some, but it's usually for shorter periods, bundled up and taking in the views rather than spending hours in the sun. The daily schedule shifts too. In the Caribbean, your day might revolve around the ship's activities. In Alaska, it's more about what time you're arriving in port, what excursions you have planned, and when you need to be up for things like glacier viewing. Even the atmosphere on board tends to feel a bit quieter and more relaxed in Alaska, especially in the evenings compared to the higher energy late night feel you'll get on most Caribbean sailings. So if you're choosing based on the onboard experience, it really comes down to this. If you want a ship that's like a floating resort with constant energy, the Caribbean is the better fit. But if you want the ship to support the destination rather than compete with it, Alaska is the better choice. Your experiences on land is where these two destinations truly diverge. In the Caribbean, port days are usually simple and flexible. Most itineraries revolve around beaches, water activities, shopping, and food. You can plan an excursion if you want to, but you really don't have to because it's easy to get off the ship, find a beach or a local spot, and have a great day without much planning. But Alaska works very differently. The ports themselves are smaller, and a lot of the best experiences aren't right next to where the ship docks. Things like whale watching, glacier tours, or scenic railways usually require a planned excursion, and they're often a significant part and expense of the trip. That means your days are more structured as you're working around tour times, transportation, and in some cases, weather windows. It also means these experiences are more unique, but they come with a higher cost and a bit more effort. This is also where I almost always recommend looking at private excursions instead of booking through the cruise line. You can often get smaller group sizes, better experiences, and a lot of times even better pricing if you plan ahead. I've linked my favorite option for that in the pinned comment below if you're interested, but no big sales pitch for that here. But the differences here are pretty straightforward. If you want easy, flexible port days where you can decide what to do as you go, the Caribbean is a better fit. If you want more unique, once-in-a-lifetime experiences though, and you're willing to plan ahead for them, Alaska is the better choice. When you step back and look at the full week, these two cruises deliver very different types of experiences. A Caribbean cruise is built around ease. It's warm, it's familiar, and it's designed to be simple. You can show up, relax, and have a good time without needing to plan much in advance. It's the kind of trip you can take multiple times and still enjoy, even if the ports start to feel a little similar. But an Alaska cruise feels more intentional. It's not just about relaxing, it's about experiencing something. The scenery is constantly changing, the ports are more unique, and the highlights of the trip tend to be more memorable. But it also asks more of you. You have to think about timing, excursions, weather, and how you want to spend your days. And that difference shows up in how the week feels. The Caribbean is more forgiving. If you skip a port or change your plans, it usually doesn't affect the overall trip very much. But Alaska has more pressure. Certain days like glacier viewing or key excursions can feel like the moments that define the entire cruise. So it really comes down to what kind of trip you want. If you want something easy, relaxing, and repeatable, the Caribbean is the better fit. But if you want something more unique, more memorable, and you're okay with a little more planning to get it right, Alaska is hands down the better choice. And once you understand those things, the decision becomes a lot clearer. But here's the bad news. If you've decided that Alaska is your dream cruise, doing it right without overspending is harder than most people expect. Because between excursions, flights, hotels, and all the little things that add up along the way, it's very easy for that budget to get away from you if you don't have a plan going in. But the good news, I've already broken down exactly how to do an Alaska cruise on a budget without cutting the experiences that actually make the trip worth it. So don't stop here, watch that one next, and I'll show you exactly where to save and where to spend so you don't waste money on the wrong things. I'll see you over there. If you're ready, I am. Let's go.